In this short film, John Compton, a member of the High Wycombe District Model Aircraft Club, tells me about his hobby of building and flying model aircraft.
I've always liked making things, any kind of things, making things with my hands. I've always liked aeroplanes, been fond of aeroplanes. My father worked for an aeroplane company when I was a kid. I like exercising a skill, mastering a skill, and so what I do here is I build the planes, so I make them. They're aeroplanes, so I like them, and then I try and master the skill of controlling them in the air. They fly, they do what they're supposed to do rather than living in a glass case and you look at them. They actually come to life, if you like, when they're in their own element and you're controlling them and you're flying them. It's great.
Can you sort of just describe briefly the process you go through when you're starting to build something like this?
Right, you would start with a plan. Of the structure of the aeroplane. This side shows the fuselage, a side view, and here in fact is that fuselage under construction. I've got about halfway. You start with the sides, which you then join across the middle with these formers, and then having established that the whole thing is square and straight, then you add decking and planking and stuff. That's as far as I've got with this one.
Yep.
It's halfway done. That's the wing, and you would pin this down onto the work table and build the wing in situ like that, putting everything in place over the plan so you know where everything should go, and cut all the parts out of balsa wood, glue it together, and then when it's finished, lift it off and there's your wing. So when you've made your wing, you cover it with film like this. This is a thin plastic film with a paper backing on it, which you peel off, and it's heat sensitive. You lay it over the structure, then you literally iron it with a little hot iron, which melts glue on the back surface, which sticks it to the structure. Once you've stuck it on, you then heat it again to a higher temperature, which then causes the plastic film to shrink and go very tight, and that's exactly what you want. And I'll show you one already done, and they're the hollow parts, you can see, and then here is the structure. Don't know whether you can get that, but that's where it's glued on, and they're the spaces in between, and the film is strong and stretched very tight, and it's very durable and is a wonderful modern invention. So here's one complete with all its mechanicals and electronics. If you come in over here, this is looking up from underneath. That white box is the fuel tank. That device wrapped up in soft foam to protect it is the radio receiver, so it doesn't get damaged by a vibration. These devices are called servos, and they're little electric motors that actuate the control surfaces of the plane. So this one here, I don't know if you can see it, but as that moves like that, it's connected by a rod to the elevators, and they move up or down, and that makes the plane dive or climb. And this is a lovely little internal combustion engine, single cylinder, 2-stroke. It has a capacity of about 9 cc's and would develop about 1.5 horsepower. Single cylinder, and this is the silencer and the exhaust pipe. Carburettor on the front, and a lovely piece of engineering. Well, I belong to a model aircraft club, the High Wycombe District Model Aircraft Club, which really is the only sensible way of making your way in this hobby. Doing it on your own, you're almost certain to be doomed to failure. We rent a field, or rather a part of a field, from a local farmer, our landing strip, and the access to it from the road, and that's where we all congregate. a Y-shaped yoke you can peg into the ground. It's got a spike on it.
Yeah.
And it restrains the plane from moving forward out of control so that it doesn't fly forward and the propeller could do people a nasty.
Good. Yeah.
This is my transmitter, and it's a fairly old one. It works on a frequency range called 35 megahertz. And being old-fashioned, it means that we have to allocate it a radio channel, and in my case it's 71. I've written on this closed peg, John Compton, 71.
Right.
And over here we have a pegboard. It's vacant, so I'm going to put my peg on it. And now no one will switch their transmitter on to channel 71. Because if they did, it would take control of my plane and we would have a nice accident. These are controls.
Yeah.
That I can hold the controls with my fingers and my thumb to manipulate them while they fly, and I don't have to hold the transmitter up.
Right.
Some people fly without a tray, and then they fly with just their thumbs on the top like that.
Yeah.
So they hold the transmitter in all their fingers and operate it like that. I don't like that. Two different styles of flying.
Yes.
I find I'm more secure if I have finger and thumb on the control elements. This is a fuel filler plug.
Yes.
There's another pipe, this clear one, if you can see it, which is the fuel going to the carburettor, which is this bit on the front, and then this orange one is connected to the exhaust pipe, and it connects onto that little connector there. So now the pressure in the exhaust produces pressure in this pipe, which is connected to the fuel tank, and that pushes the fuel through to the carburettor so it will run. Dead clever, these Chinese. The vast majority of our engines are glow engines. What that means is that the fuel contains methanol and nitromethane, and it's effectively a diesel.
Yeah.
In the sense that you have a glow plug like this, and there it is in the engine, and you energise it with a battery which makes it glow. Then when you turn the engine, the glow fires the engine. Once the engine's running and there's heat inside the engine, then a catalytic reaction between the coil in the glow plug and the fuel keeps it glowing. Right. So once it's started, you can disconnect the battery and it will keep running. And the first thing is we make doubly sure that our frequency is clear, and you do that in the time-honoured manner of shouting out 71! And everyone looks at you and wonders what's going on, because those are the old days. And then you can switch on. You restrain the plane and you give it full throttle and you check all the controls still work. Start the timer and we're in business.
Yeah.
Thanks for the rolls. That's 2 rolls. There you go. Quite good actually. Nice to yourself. And do another loop and roll off the top and come back the way we came. Like that. The second well bore turn is like an inland turn used to avoid pursuing fighters. I think we'll do another stall turn because I quite enjoyed that. Up we go. To the right, like that.
And we roll it the other direction. Continue our circuit.
Yeah, how often do you get up there to fly then, John? Generally?
That's the question. It depends entirely on the weather. We do need reasonably good weather to fly in. By that I mean not raining and not too windy. If it's windy and gusty you can't fly because these relatively small aeroplanes are tossed around in the air and you would smash them to pieces, and there's 300 pounds flying around in the sky every time you have a flight, so you don't take that sort of risk. I suppose I fly during the summer every week, a couple of times, weather permitting. During the winter I don't fly so much. I'm afraid I'm a fair weather flyer. I don't get much fun out of flying in the snow with my fingers freezing, so that's what I do. As for the pleasure is, as I've described at the beginning, the fact that I build things which I like to do, master skills which I like to do. I'm interested in aeroplanes anyhow, and to take it from this stage, bits of wood and glue and stuff, and end up with having made a plane, and then to see it fly and to perform aerobatics with it to make it do what you want as it flies around the sky is immensely rewarding. Plus there is, but since I belong to a club, a social element to it. As it happens I'm treasurer because I know a bit about bookkeeping, but that's an aside. And we have club nights every other month. We have a club night where we'll have a speaker come along and talk about some aspect of our hobby, and social events, barbecues up the field, and it's competitions, visits to other clubs. It's a great hobby.
Thank you very much, John.